this month. So the believer feels different this month than they did before. And they are preparing themselves for the month of Sha'ban, month of Shahr Ramadan. And this will all be concluded in the month of Shahr Ramadan, Laylatul Qadr, the night of destiny. So if a person wants to reach that night of destiny, the batin, the inner meaning of the night of destiny, they have to be prepared. It's not as if you can just prepare right before it. You have to have prepared from Rajab, month of Sha'ban, and Shahr Ramadan. We said that Muslims live a particular way. Islam is a beautiful religion. It is the religion of God, and that we should be able to see and distinguish a Muslim based on their behavior. It should not be in a way that a Muslim lives exactly the same as a disbeliever. Then you say, what is the point? Sometimes when you look at children and they ask, how come my children are not that religious? How come they don't when I tell them to? One of the factors, says maybe sometimes that child sees that, look, my father, my mother, they are believers, they are practicing salat, but I don't really see a difference in their life than someone else. So therefore they think if the salat was going to change somebody, it would change my parents. So why should I do it? But if that child sees their parents are truly changed by salat, each time they pray, they're changed. Or the fact that they live completely different lives as Muslims. As Muslim parents should be different. Then they'll say, Father, Mother, teach me that salat. Because that salat is separating me from munkar, from fahsha and munkar. That salat is purifying my parents each time they perform that salat. That salat is mi'rajul mu'min. And each time I see my parents are going towards God, doing uruj and ascension towards God. The salat is ziyaratullah. The salat is visiting God. They go and visit God and come back. Then that child will say, I want this salat. This is something good. But if it's just ruku and sujood like a parrot doing it, and sometimes unfortunately people are saying that some person is even doing salat was going, like this to the kid, and they're saying, what? He's like, change the channel in the middle of salat. Change the channel. I don't want to watch that on TV. He's performing a salat. So if it's a salat like this, that you say change the channel, then yes, they'll say, okay, it looks like just a tradition that they have, a ritual, and that's it. But this is, hayya ala khayr al-amal, it's our best action, and this shows us this, that when a believer truly practices Islam, their lifestyle has to be different than a non-Muslim. Their lifestyle must be better. They must have dunya, they must have akhirah. They must be organized, they must have a plan, they must have enjoyment and power. This is what Islam does for us. Do you think that Islam doesn't have any benefit? Do you think Islam does not do anything for us? The first person and the only person that's changing is us. God does not need our worship. This is a plan for humans to practice, to reach kamal, reach perfection. So therefore, a Muslim should be farther in perfection than a non-Muslim. But it's very sad to see when deen is weak, when religion is weak, and only the names and the rituals of Islam exist. You see, there's not much difference between a believer and a non-believer. There should be in their lifestyle a difference. You should be able to tell someone their Islam just by their behavior. Not that they say I'm Muslim, just by their behavior. This is what makes up an Islamic lifestyle, and we're talking about lifestyles. So a Muslim's behavior should be different, because behavior is based on a person's interest. Behavior is based on a person's belief. So therefore, the more they love God, the more they're interested in that relationship with God, the more you'll see their day is revolving around servitude and being a slave of God. We talked about a few pillars in the Islamic lifestyle. We said if you want to manifest an Islamic lifestyle, it is Tawheed, the oneness of God. The oneness of God is the manifestation of a true Muslim's lifestyle. They asked one of the scholars, and he was known for his irfan, and they asked him, is it true is it true that you have this relationship, special relationship with God? And he says, how can it not be true when I have been living with him for many years, that I have been living with God? So some reach this situation, this position, that they are living with God. وَهُوَ مَعَكُمْ أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُمْ. He is with you wherever you are. And they truly feel this their entire life. Right now, they are sitting in the masjid. This is the house of God. It's the majlis of knowledge, not because of me, because of the narrations. They truly feel they're with God. They truly feel that there's, they have a Mawla, they have a Lord. And they're very excited and they're very happy about this, that they serve their Lord. For them, Islam is not difficult. There's one level when, a person's beginning to start with Islam and the wajibat, the muharramat are hard on them. It seems hard. But that abd, that person that has a true Islamic lifestyle, the person that has incorporated tawheed in their life, they love fulfilling the commands of God. They love sacrificing their time for God. They love giving whatever they have in the way of Allah. Because it's love. They truly love God. They have reached ma'iyah. They're with God. And when they get separated from God, they get sad. For example, when it's Shahr Ramadan is over, you see in the dua of Imam Sajjad, he says, Assalamu alaikum to Shahr Ramadan. This Assalamu alaikum is farewell. And how sad it is when you see the way that Imam Zainul Abidin says goodbye to Shahr Ramadan. Why? Because that's Shahrullah, that is the month of God. He's going to be sad that connection with God will not be the same after Shahr Ramadan. So Tawheed manifests itself, and it should. Dear brother, dear sister, look at your own life. How much Tawheed and oneness of God do you have in your life? Are you living with God? Are you living to serve God? Are you living to study more, to understand more, to know how to serve Him better? Are you happy with your Islam? Does it bring you joy? Should religion bring us joy? Yes. Religion should bring you the best joy. Because the joy that religion brings, it cannot be found anywhere else. You cannot buy it or purchase it with billions of dollars. You cannot purchase that feeling that I have, that I'm connected with God. As Ayatollah Bahjat, the great scholar, mentions that if the kings knew how great the worship of God is, they would leave their kingdom and become a servant of God. They would become a servant of God. So we're trying to enjoy, and that's the entire point, is this: the best way to reach this Tawheedi lifestyle is to taste Islam, practicing Islam sincerely, and seeing the fruits and tasting it, and then saying, I want more. I like that feeling. That's great for me. I want more. They go to ziyarat of Ahlul Bayt. Another key component of an Islamic lifestyle is walayat. They live with Ahlul Bayt. They remember Ahlul Bayt. They cry for Imam Hussein alayhi salam. They remember Imam Hussein. I remember some of the Maraja who've passed away, Ayatollah Safiq al-Paigani. He truly loved Ahlul Bayt. His last year, he passed away, it's his year anniversary. Over 100 years old, this Marja. And I would see clips of him just looking at Lutmiya or Matam or Azadari in Urdu. I don't think he understands Urdu. Maybe he does, but to the extent that he understands Farsi or Arabic, it's not like that. But he would start as old man hitting himself just seeing the Matam of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. He loved it so much. And he got what he wanted to. He was buried. They took his body and they buried him with his master Imam Hussein alayhi salam. They took his body. Usually the Maraj are mostly buried in Qum. But he wanted to be buried in Karbala. He wanted to be buried with Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And it happened. And he's buried next to the shrine of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Because he had a walai, he took all the narrations that he had of Imam Zaman. Even he's a marja. Usually a marja, their life is usually with fiqh and usul, jurisprudence, and the root of jurisprudence. But he called of Imam Zaman and Muntakhab al-Athar and put in volumes the narrations of Imam Zaman. He spent his life doing tafsir of du'as, like Du'a Nudba, for example. Because he was very Ahlul Bayt. So another key component that a Muslim has to have is they really love Ahlul Bayt. They really love the Prophet, and they really love his family. And whenever they hear the azan, they begin to cry. Whenever they hear that it's a joyous occasion of them, they are so happy. If they're in their car, I recommend for you, when in the car is actually a good time because we drive so far in LA area. You can become a scholar at any field because we drive so much. You can study things in the car. You can listen to different things in the car. You can have your own hayat in the car. You can have your own majalis in the car. It's a good time. And during this, that believer listens and cries for Imam Hussein. How refreshing that is for the soul to cry for Imam Hussein. Why do you only wait, say, for Muharram? So the other key component of an Islamic life is being wala'i. Giving gifts for Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. Doing some dhikr and giving it to Imam Zaman alayhi salam. Giving it for his Hazrat Nargis, for example. This relationship, being Imam Zamani, being Imam Husseini, this is another key component that we talked about of being wala'i. At the same time of being an abd. The last thing that we started, and these are all good topics, Tawheed, part of an Islamic lifestyle. Ubudiyat, part of an Islamic lifestyle. Wilayat, and the authority of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, part of an Islamic lifestyle. The other topic that we began last week is that the Muslim, the follower of the Holy Prophet, is intellectual, is aqil, has aql, is learned, he has knowledge. This is all together. He can differentiate between good, and what is wrong. He lives his life in a way that he uses his mind. Actually, when you look at the books of theology, and it says that how can a person be a true man? How can a human being be a true human being? The books of theology say this. I ask you this. What is the main difference between man and animal? One of the main differences. Animals' actions are based on instinct. A lion will do what a lion does. When a scorpion stings someone, you don't blame the scorpion. That's what it does. A snake bites, right? Shark, I still, alhamdulillah, a lot of people still don't understand some of these predators, and they want to live with them and pet them, and you understand, like their actions are based on their instincts. Yes, you can pet them a little bit, but eventually you might be in a bad mood or might do something and you can't read it right, and you'll attack. So therefore you see that our actions are based on what, if it's not instinct? Our actions, a true human's actions, is based on the intellect. We're mutaharrik bi irada. Our taharruk and our movements are based